Welcome to Crisis in Perception, where we examine the systems shaping our world. So today, we're deconstructing the systemic critique of capitalism laid out in the book Imagine Living in a Socialist USA. We're going to follow its internal logic to really understand how it frames the system. Now, right from the get-go, the analysis makes a crucial point. It's not about individual bad actors. The focus is on an overarching system with its own kind of logic.
To really dig into this analysis, we have to start where it starts, by defining the system itself and figuring out, what is its core function. According to this framework, the system's primary job is pretty clear-cut: the relentless pursuit of profit. And this isn't just one goal among many. It's presented as the central organizing principle that really shapes everything else. The book offers a really powerful metaphor to make this concrete. It describes the system as being like an assembly line. It takes all these diverse inputs, things like our labor, natural resources, even people themselves, and it standardizes them to produce just one single prioritized output: maximum profit. Okay, so how does a system like this actually work day to day? Well, like any system, it's all about the incentive structure. It's about what gets rewarded and what gets discouraged. And the logic here is that the system is built to structurally reward actions that boost monetary profit, think short-term gains and constant growth. At the same time, it discourages things that might prioritize, say, the common good or long-term ecological stability. The key point the source makes is that this isn't about individual morality. It's about what behaviors the system makes rational and, well, rewarding. So if you have an incentive architecture like that, the analysis argues that you're going to get some pretty predictable outcomes across society. From the climate crisis to how our schools are structured, the book connects a whole range of social issues right back to that core incentive for profit. And these aren't framed as bugs or accidents in the system. They're presented as features, the natural, logical result of its design. Which, of course, brings up a huge question. How does a system that produces these outcomes keep going? How does it sustain itself? Well, the analysis points to a few specific mechanisms that help it persist. One of the main ones is a powerful reinforcing feedback loop. Here's how it's described. The system generates profits, which then concentrate as wealth and power. That power is then used to shape the rules of the game, laws, policies, media narratives, to make the system even more efficient at generating more profit. It's a cycle that fuels itself. And this dynamic, the source argues, creates a crisis in perception. We all see the effects of the system's logic, say, a factory closing down, but we're often encouraged to misattribute the cause. We might see it as a local failure or a bad business decision, rather than the predictable output of a system designed to maximize profit above all else. The underlying structure remains unseen. The system's persistence is also propped up by what the book calls legitimacy mechanisms. These are the cultural and institutional forces, from the way we teach history to the way we define crime, that work to make the system's structure and its outcomes feel natural, normal, or just inevitable. And finally, the analysis really stresses that this economic system doesn't just operate in a bubble, isolated from everything else. This is a really critical piece of the argument. The economic structure gets deeply interconnected with other social hierarchies. The rules and incentives of the system don't just shape our jobs and our finances, they also profoundly influence relationships built around race, gender, and community. And this quote is used to make that point absolutely clear. From this perspective, the experiences of class, race, gender, and sexuality are fundamentally tangled up within the system's operation. You can't really analyze one of these things in isolation without understanding how it relates to all the others. And this leaves us with a final, massive structural question that really gets to the heart of the entire inquiry. If the outcomes we see are a function of the system's design, what does it truly mean to redesign a system? Crisis in Perception examines how systems shape belief and how better tools help us see clearly. This project is free and publicly accessible. If you'd like to support the time, tools, and research behind Crisis in Perception, you can become a supporter on Patreon. For a longer audio-based analysis of this topic, see the deep dive linked in the description.
If you enjoy this kind of systems-level analysis, please like, subscribe, and comment with books or topics you'd like us to explore next.